auxiliary.
I'm unaware of that personally, but I will look into that. Thank you. Is there any other comments? The next item on the agenda is elections.
I just wanted to address that to the body because I was the secretary for the meeting, and thank you.
Lisa Shepard.
Thank you. I knew you said I could.
Party secretary.
Thank you. So I just want to address that in the executive committee. I did get all the materials from the Women's Liberty Caucus, and part of that interview and why we feel it's so important is because we get that opportunity to find out all that information that we're looking for. So that's part of the interview process. That's
Thank
why.
you. That wasn't forwarded, or I didn't get that and look at that. I get so many emails. I apologize if I skipped over that. Next item is the election of vice chairman. It's probably the most important reason we're here today. First item of business is to adopt the rules. You each received a handout or should have picked up a flyer with the rules for today's election. The chair will entertain a motion to adopt the rules as printed.
Mr. Chair.
Because you can't stand, I appreciate that.
I don't need no stinging microphone.
Yeah, there you go. And state your name for the record so we have that.
Oh, Midwest.
Matt, thank you.
Weber County.
Yeah, Weaver County. So the motion on the floor is to adopt the rules as printed. Is there discussion about these rules?
Mr. Chairman, before Please don't vote for me.
Could you are you say who you are and are you speaking for?
Friend Odenwalder, Weber County.
Thank you.
I had asked earlier during the agenda to be able to address voting rules.
That's what we're doing in the rules section right now.
Yeah.
So this is appropriate.
This is the appropriate time. So while my first preference would be paper ballots, personally, if this body chooses to do any other method, such as these things, these nooses, my request would be the same as was at the state convention recently, and that those results, all electronic results, would be posted by clicker number by Wednesday of this week. So not by name.
So state your motion clearly. What is your motion?
Well, my first motion is to do paper balloting, but if that's not successful,
Okay, that's a motion. So
then I
motion
have
on
the
the floor
other.
is to request paper balloting. Is there any discussion to this motion?
I'll speak against that motion.
I'll speak in favor of it.
Okay. Brent, do you wish to speak in favor of your motion now?
yeah, I'll speak to it. We have had some issues with electronics, not only at the state convention, but also even in this body here, where things just did not go well. I would prefer a paper ballot.
Thank you. Are you to speak for or against?
I'm speaking against, Mr.
Okay.
Chair. The electronic voting, yes,
Brian
there was,
Thompson.
pardon me,
Brian Thompson.
Ben Thompson.
Ben Thompson, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Ben.
Big Ben. So here's the deal. Yes, there was a hiccup at the state convention because a cord was not plugged in correctly, but the electronic voting system we are using today is highly effective and highly efficient, and I believe is highly accurate. Therefore, I would support that we use against paper balloting and support that we move forward with electronic balloting. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak for the motion of paper balloting?
I'll speak
Drew.
for it. Drew Chamberlain, Davis County. Paper balloting is a trusted system. Paper balloting works fine. It's worked for hundreds of years. Not so with electronic voting. If you want to do this quickly and in one round, you could do ranked choice voting, and we could do it in one round. It'd be faster, and it's also paper. But I support use of paper ballots over electronic voting
Thank
any
you.
day.
Thank you. Anyone else to speak against the motion?
Mr. Chair, I move to amend the motion.
Okay.
My amendment would be that we do paper balloting at the same time with electronic voting.
We cannot do dual voting at the same time because of the, it puts the entire election in question. If they don't come out the same, It's one or the other.
That is my
here or
point.
there.
Mr. Chair, just a point of information.
Yeah.
That could, when we were at the convention, because we had a number of candidates we have here, we ended up having to do like 2 splits, and then you put them together and you do one. And at the convention, we only did 2 rounds, where depending on how you interpret our bylaws, we could have had more or less, depending on whether you start at the top or work down or back and forth. I would like a little bit of information. Are we going to end up having to do 2 slates and then combine them because we got more than,
Yes, we have 13 candidates, so yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, is there any further discussion? You ready to vote? Okay, all in favor of going to paper balloting, which the motion is, please say aye. Those who would like to use electronic voting, please say no. No. Okay, the noes have it. We'll use electronic voting.
Okay, can I make my second motion?
Okay.
And that is that the rules, the rules be in place as they were at the state convention, so that by clicker number, every vote is tallied and shown on the website, the same as was done at state convention. So I could take a picture of my clicker, both front and back, and check the results on Wednesday of this week on a website, just like before.
I don't have any problem doing that without objection. We'll post the results. So if you want to know how you voted and how it was recorded.
Objection. This is not a bylaw or a constitutional amendment. This is an election for a vice chair. This is a secret ballot.
But
This is between-
only you,
Still
if you're the
should be.
only one that knows that code, you're the only one, so we wouldn't tag
I
names.
still object.
Public, okay.
This is a secret ballot.
Okay, there's an objection, so we'll have to vote. So,
Mr. Chairman?
the motion on the floor is to, like we did the state convention, report all of the voting today via the clicker number, so you can go back and verify your vote was as you cast it.
And I would like to make a friendly amendment. I just conferred with the maker of the motion. And that would be before we do that, if we could just exchange our clicker with somebody else in the room. We've done that before, and it worked very nicely.
Okay. The motion on the floor is to exchange your clicker with someone on the floor if you deem you'd like to do that, to preserve the anonymity of the, and also post the results of the election via the clicker-only identity. It is debatable. Would you like to speak for or against this motion?
I would like to request some information.
Okay.
As I'm looking on the rules, I do not see a method to eliminate candidates. Can you clarify that, please?
It's multiple round, and we will clarify. It's in a special rule for SCC elections found at the bottom of the last page of bylaws after 11.0 Robert's Rules of Order. In any elections conducted by the State Central Committee and where more candidates filed than positions being filled, the committee shall use multiple ballots. The majority of votes is necessary to elect. The candidate with the fewest votes shall be eliminated in each round, and more than one candidate shall be eliminated when the sum of votes received by the candidate to be eliminated does not exceed the number of votes received by the next highest candidate. So it's bottom up.
Okay.
And-
I just
and at
didn't
least
see it in
enough
these
candidates to
specific
remain
rules, so I
fill the
just wanted to
position.
make sure that was going to be a method we were going to use.
Yes,
Thanks.
it's bottom up.
Are we still speaking to the motion?
Yeah, speak for or against.
So I'd like to speak for the motion.
Okay.
The anonymity is still preserved, as only the person with the clicker can determine who voted for what. And I think that it maintains integrity of the electronic system for every individual to be able to validate their own vote, and it does nothing to display what the vote of any other member was. So nobody can determine what anybody else voted for. It adds integrity. I think we should support this motion.
Okay.
Call question on the motion.
Okay. Kim Pickett. All right, the question has been called. 2/3 vote to end debate on this. All in favor of ending debate, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Okay, debate is ended. The motion on the floor is to post the votes of the clicker, allow people to exchange their clicker with someone next to them if they so desire at the end and conclusion of this meeting. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Nay. Okay, the ayes have it. That will be posted online. Okay. No, we're still.
I
we
move
still
we
have
adopt the rules.
Kim has made a motion. Kim Pickett has made a motion that we adopt the rules as printed.
I call the question also.
And he's calling the question.
I'm calling the question also, thank you.
So we will not debate that if you choose. The question has been called, 2/3 to end debate. All in favor of ending debate, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Okay, debate is ended. The motion is to, what was it? To adopt the rules for the election as printed, as amended. Does it require 2/3? Yes. Requires 2/3 because of the time limit. So all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. Okay, those are approved. The rules are approved.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, go ahead.
So I have a motion which is not strictly in order, but I ask the leave of the body to introduce this. We had just had this discussion in executive section, which I can't talk about, but I have conferred with the parliamentarian, received guidance on how to do something we were trying to accomplish earlier. So I have a motion to lift the secrecy of 3 motions considered during the executive session of February 24th, 18, namely the bylaw proposal.
Kirby,
Yes, sir.
can I interject here?
Yes, sir.
We're trying to get these elections done. So there's going to be some downtime in the middle.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
And we
I'm
review
with-
the
I'm
results.
with you. I
If you
withdraw.
could bring that motion
Absolutely.
at that time.
Thank you very
it would be
much.
a better use of our time. Thank you. Now we're to voting instructions. Brad Christensen. Did Brad's mom come today? Is Mary Ann here?
My mom was great, wasn't she? Yes. She, and she has helped us ready the convention every year, so she really does understand how it works. So I'm really grateful that she was up there to help. All we're going to do, we are going to have to do a split vote, and maybe we could potentially even have to do another Group A, Group B. Potentially, depending on how it goes. But we're assuming we're probably only going to do one split vote. So the first 7 options will be on in the first vote in Group A, and in Group B there will be the next 6. So what we do, and I want to be clear about this again. I know we explained it at convention, but it's going to be the same. If you vote in Group A, we're going to take some time in between Group A and Group B to eliminate every device number that it voted in Group A, and they will not be able to vote in Group B because we lock the list based on the keypads that are registered. So we create a new list with only the devices that haven't voted for Group B. Does anybody have any questions about that? No. So you're just going to press the button on your keypad that corresponds with the candidate number. There'll be Andrew, do you have them A through 1 through 7 or ABC? What? So they're in the order. So I have them in the order that you gave me this morning. Yes, on the agenda. That's the order. So in speaking order. We will need a little bit of time in between Group A and B to eliminate those that have already voted. Yes.
So each group, say I'm in Group A, I choose one of these 13.
You'll see the first 7 names on the screen with a corresponding number 1 through 7. And then if the candidate whom you would like to vote for is in those 7, at that time you would vote. If it's not, you would wait until the next group to vote. Anybody who votes in the first group will be eliminated and will not be able to vote in the second. So make sure you know who you're voting for before we begin either group voting, because we can't go back to Group A once we've moved to Group B. Any other questions? Anything else, Rob? Okay, so we are going to do a test vote. It's a trivia question that we thought would be appropriate since we're here at Topgolf. Danny, can you move? We had some trouble getting a signal from our machines to these screens this morning, so I'm just going to tell you what it is. but is what is the average number of dimples on a golf ball? And it's kind of a trivia question. So, I will give you the options. Option number 1 is 500 dimples on a golf ball. Option number 2 is 400 dimples on a golf ball. This is the average. Option number 3 is 336 dimples on a golf ball. And what was the last one, Danny? So it's not this one. So we'll just go with those 3 options then. Is it 500, 400, or 336? Let me stand by. I got to go back there.
Okay, when Brad gives me the thumbs up, the polls will be open. So, okay, the polls are now open. The options are 1, 500 dimples, 2, 400, 3, 336. All vote now. Polls are open. What's that? We've credentialed 124 at this point. Okay, 103. If you're getting a red light, please go back to the corner there if you're able to. Has everybody had a chance to vote in this poll? 1, 2, or 3? Anybody getting a red light? How many selections did you get? There might be some people out in the restroom. 100, 104. Anyone left to vote? Anyone? Have you voted, Ben? No, there's no Group A, Group B for the test. Okay. Going once, twice, 3 times, gone. The polls are closed. Brad, can you report the numbers? I predict 100 plus for option 3. All right, 2 people failed themselves. Okay. Okay, you can't train for that. That's unexpected. Okay, thank you, Brad. The rules we've adopted give each candidate 5 minutes for the first round speech. The candidates will speak in the order printed on the agenda. Their names should also be shown on the screen. There's no confidence monitor for the candidates. However, if they look at the side screens, the time will be on the side screens for their indication when their time has expired. With the expiration of time, if we could all join in a round of applause to indicate that time has expired, please do so. We will begin with the first candidate. I will not introduce any of them in the spirit of expediency. We'll begin with the first candidate, Wade Marshall Miller, and we will end with the last candidate, Spencer Hall. Wade. And please come up here and line up candidates on this side and be ready to go when your turn comes up.
Okay, my name is Wade Marshall Miller. I am, of course, a candidate for vice chairman. I have been involved with Republican politics for about 40 years between 2 states. I've run for office several times in Utah. Having said that, I have some concerns about the issues. One of them is I do have some problems with the present caucus system, I will admit. However, some people feel that maybe I want to throw the caucus system out. I do not. I don't feel like throwing the baby out, but the bathwater is going to fix it. But I do believe that we do need to make some changes within the caucus system to allow for more inclusivism for members. I have attended several caucus nights. I've also spoken with many of my neighbors in the area where I live, and I found out, and I asked some of these people in my neighborhood, why didn't you attend caucus that night? And the reports and the responses I have received are that their voice, they feel that the voice will not be counted or be of any concern. That is a kind of an issue I'd like to address. So as vice chairman, that is one of the things I think we need to look at. I'm not saying that we need to throw out the caucus system or the convention system, but I do think we do need to make some changes. One of the changes we could be is try to make it more inclusive for individuals to be able to participate. One of the issues that I've also seen with the caucus system is on these nights, a lot of issues about trying to make these meetings. A lot of them can't. When I did the last one here last March, there was only just a few people who showed up. We didn't even have enough of a quorum to even elect enough delegates. We had to make cell phone calls out to beg people to become delegates. That's an issue. I'd like to see that stopped. I'd like to see if we can maybe do something besides these nightly meetings that we do. Maybe have something where we could actually have the convention system be more electronic, where we can actually hear speakers and have more of the rank and file membership of the Republican Party be able to vote for these individuals. There's also an issue with a lot of people who will not even vote for a Republican candidate because the candidate that the conventions select don't match what they believe in. That's an issue. I know some people who voted for the opposing party because the candidate that they wanted simply was not there. Maybe we ought to move more towards a primary system instead of a caucus system. I don't know. I would like to see if we could, as vice chairman, I would like to explore possibilities like that. But that's for another time. If I do get elected, we'll look at that. One of the other issues that I would also like to look at is, as party vice chairman, I will work extremely hard to make sure that Republicans maintain their offices and those Republicans running for office defeat their opponent in the Democrat or Libertarian Party, and I will be extremely hardworking in allowing that, to making sure that that does occur. Any candidate who is running for public office will certainly be able to get a hold of me. They can call me anytime, work with me. I will help with fundraising. I will help with anything that that candidate requires to get elected to office or maintain their office holding. I want to make sure that the Republicans hold a huge majority in local and national offices. Okay. Well, I'd certainly appreciate your time to listen, and I hope that I can count on your vote. Thank you.
As a reminder, with those candidates who are next in order, please be ready to go. Is Jeff Allen here? Jeff Allen, anyone? He's not here. Okay. We'll go on to Cody Adams and continue with the list.
Man, I am really excited to be here. I'm going to keep this really short and quick. I've had a pleasure of speaking with a lot of you, and it's been a real joy to put some names to faces today. Hopefully you've been able to vet me a little bit. I put a little bit of a ghetto website out so you can learn a little bit about me. I'm from UTGOP County, Mona. If you come up 100 North and find the American flag on your way down south, stop by. We'll cook you a hamburger and stuff. But very quickly, a few years ago, when I was in the military, my commander asked me, "Sergeant Adams, what is your job?" And I replied to him, "Sir, Your job is to make sure that I'm doing my job. And my job is to make sure that you don't lose yours. And I took that to heart. That's how I see things. I'm not going to talk about issue. We know what they are. They're going to be different as we go down the road. History's been made. We're going to be able to make more history as we go. We know what the fights are. But my job as vice chair is to make sure that you're able to do your job. And my job as vice chair to these good people here is to make sure that they're able to do their job. And your job is to make sure I don't lose mine. We work together, we take care of one another, and we get it done. And our job, most importantly, is to get our candidates to win. It doesn't matter, we could give a laundry list of things that we need to do, and we're capable of doing them. But I just want to make sure that we can get it done. And that's what I'm here to provide with you today. I want to be your vice chair. I would like to serve you in the capacity of that and help you as the body of the committee to get things done. And I appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Kara Birkland. Growing up, I was always interested in politics, but I feel like a lot of people, I didn't know how to get involved. 8 years ago, we had a good family friend who decided to run for office, and he asked my husband and I to help. And we jumped in with both feet. And since that time, I've been hooked on politics. It's something my husband's not exactly fond of, but it's something that I love. Since that impromptu meeting with that friend 8 years ago, I have served as a county delegate, a state delegate. I attended the national convention as a national delegate. I've served as the Morgan County State Central Committee representative, and now as the Morgan County chair. I have worked on United States Senate campaigns. I've worked on Utah House and Senate campaigns, and I have met and worked with countless elected officials and volunteers from around the state. These experiences have increased not just my love for the Republican Party, but my love for our caucus and convention system. The unique system allows for anyone in our state, rich or poor, male or female, known or unknown, famous or not, to have a voice and to be able to make a difference. At their core, I believe that is what everybody wants, to have a voice, to feel like they can share their ideas and be heard. People often ask me, why? Why you? Why now? In response, I think of the quote from one of my favorite presidents, Calvin Coolidge. He said, "We cannot do everything at once, but we can do something at once." I know I can't do everything, although I try to convince my husband I can, but I can do something. I can continue to serve and work. I can continue to be civil and kind, and I can be strong and principled. Each of us can. Together we can restore the trust and confidence in our party. We can be examples of the principles and values we hold dear. We can move forward, and I believe we must move forward together. If elected as chair, vice chair, never chair, ever, I promise my husband, I will come to your counties to see what your needs are. I want to know how I can help you and your counties and your candidates. I want to set up service projects in Utah showing that the Republican Party does more so government can do less. We need to work together with our candidates and get our messaging in sync so that everybody knows that we are the party of family values, limited government, and reduced taxes. I believe that through voter registration drives and get out the vote efforts, we can not only recruit more Republicans to our party, but we can ensure a victory in November for each Republican candidate in our state. I will work hard for you and every Republican in Utah. I have a deep love for the Republican Party and the values we stand for. I am Kara Birkland, and I'd be honored to have your support. Thank you.
A couple of weeks ago, the Utah Policy published an article talking about each of the candidates. And to some, they explained who they were and what their positions were. I fell under the category of unknown, so I wish to stand before you today and introduce myself. My name is Tony Graff, and I am running for vice chair. I come to you from Tooele County, and I recognize our delegation here who do a fine job. I live there with my wife, Amanda, and we've been married for 13 years. I've got 2 wonderful daughters, and if they stood here today, they would light up this room, and I love them so much. I've been a Republican for over 20 years. I've had the opportunity and privilege of serving as a county delegate, a state delegate, and currently serve as the vice chair of my neighborhood precinct. And I am very proud of my service. I also have the privilege of serving as a Tooele City Planning Commissioner, and it is a pleasure to serve the people of Tooele. My background is in the law. I serve as a prosecutor. I've had a chance to serve as a Special Assistant United States Attorney in Washington, D.C., in Nevada, American Samoa, and here in Salt Lake County as a Deputy District Attorney for the Salt Lake County District Attorney's Office. My task is that of special victims, and that I prosecute those who commit sex crimes against children and adults. I love what I do, and I am passionate. But I do not stand here today to talk about my resume, for that is secondary to the purpose of why we are all here. I stand here to talk about what I see is our party's biggest issue. And our issue is division. As I sat as a state delegate in the county convention, or the state convention, I witnessed frustration, disappointment, anger, confusion amongst those that I sat with. At the end of that convention, among those I sat with, I heard comments, "I will never come back again." My friends, we are failing as a party. This division has carried over till today, and we need to change that. This is the sole purpose of my campaign. I'm not going to stand here and say I will be a champion for SB 54. I will not say I will be a champion for count my vote or keep my voice. My allegiance is that of unity. That is what I care about. I wish to tell you that I love this party. I love for what it stands for. I love its principles. And that is why I want be here today to serve you. Because you are what matters. Our unification as a party is what matters at the end of the day. And my friends, I wish to tell you, as a nobody, as somebody who lives way out there, as somebody who's not involved in politics, that our base, that our Republican brothers and sisters throughout this great state, they are losing confidence in us. They are losing confidence in our ability to accomplish what we need to. I ask that you put your love of your party over your love of division. I ask that we put the principles of the Republican Party foremost. I ask that you treat each other with the dignity and respect for which you all deserve. If elected as your chair, I make these promises, that I will abide by the bylaws and constitution of this great party, that I will act and ensure that you have a platform to state your beliefs, that you do so eloquently. And whether you be friend or foe, I will support you. I will ensure that you are treated with dignity and respect for which you deserve. If these issues align with you, if this is something you believe in, I ask for your vote. My name is Tony Graff, and I'm running for your vice chair. God bless this party. God bless Utah, and God bless the United States. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Isom, and I'm one of the candidates for vice chair. Someone once told me the best speeches have a beginning and an end, and they're as close together as possible. And I'll try to adhere to that. So we've been here a long time, and I think the food and the golf is much more appealing than I am. But I'll just take a minute or two to thank you first for your time and your willingness, for those that I've been able to speak with, but also those that have reviewed the materials for myself and the other candidates, because we are passionate about this. I also want to take a moment to thank Weldon and the caucus task force. I've talked to several of you, and the analogy that's near and dear to my heart is that of Boy Scouting. I was a scoutmaster over in Saudi Arabia and saw an amazing implementation of these core principles and values. And I've been Scoutmaster and involved in scouting in other places, but I'm a Scoutmaster now here in Utah. And I think in many cases, unfortunately, the implementation is what frustrates and troubles individuals. When scouting has lost those core values and focus, then sometimes people wane, whether it be for donating or whether it be for supporting or participating in that organization due to the way it's being implemented. And in my perspective, the caucus convention system is amazing. It's a miracle if implemented and practiced according to the way it's designed and kept. And so that's why the caucus task force, to get back to what our core values are, going back to Article 1 of our Constitution, that our purpose is to elect Republicans and remain true to our party platform. And the more we focus on that and have our discussions with that lens, the stronger we will be as a party, the more we can message out, and the more as a vice chair, whoever that may be, can go out and say, here's your return on investment. If you want to invest in the Utah Republican Party, here's what you're getting for your money. And I think the more we can show that as a value, the more those that have advocated other paths than caucus convention will understand the true value of the caucus convention. I also want to echo part of what Lisa said with regards to the goodness of individuals. I truly believe that, and I've worked in the Far East and the Middle East, as well as in D.C., and I know we all have different perspectives of D.C., but I'll share a personal experience. More than 20 years ago, I enlisted in the Utah National Guard, and you go through what's called MEPS, the Military Entrance Processing Station, and they do a separate physical, because we all know how the recruiters want to get you into the military. And when I was going through that, I learned that I had a slight color vision deficiency, a slight red-green color deficiency. And to me, that's been an enabling opportunity throughout my life. I still ask my wife to help me with my ties and my socks from time to time, just to make sure. But it made me aware that my perspective isn't necessarily the perspective of others. And that's true with vision, from our sight, but also in regards to issues. And I've served in all three branches of government. Practiced law in the Pentagon in 2 different legal offices, served and advised and still consult on legislative issues, and worked for the National Guard Bureau in their Office of Legislative Liaison, but also through the military, working on international agreements and on local agreements and on fundraising, where I think at least standing true to your principles, but recognizing others' views are important as well, and having that dialogue and getting to the root cause is what enables us. So a background in law enforcement, national security, law, and mediation, I realize I am also a relatively new face, even though we've been in and out of Utah for more than 20 years. The out serving in Afghanistan, out serving in Saudi Arabia, it's helped me to appreciate the rule of law and why it is so important that we get back to those basic principles. But I've also appreciated navigating and mediating between sides that are very passionate about a given issue. And I think there's very, very wonderful conversations that are going on. And if chair, I think part of the constitutional obligation of being neutral, of staying in the middle, of which I've done for more than 20 years, will hopefully allow me to advocate for different perspectives on different sides. Also, going back to the return on investment, my perspective is that the more we can come together, work together in a respectful manner. I think there's, we've seen in the mainstream media, a lot of times they report only what they want us to hear. They only what will sell their newspaper or get more advertising. But that's not what the true matters are. We know what the true matters are. We know what the true principles are here in Utah. And as a Republican Party, it's our obligation to advocate not only for those as an SCC and as a party on behalf of the other 650,000, but for the good of the future of Utah. So I want to give you as much time back as possible, but I strongly believe the more we can give that return on investment and get back to root principles, that in and of itself will help mend the divide, not only between any divisions we may have internally, but help sell what the caucus and convention system truly should be. Again, my name is Michael Isom. Thank you very much for your time and your participation.
Tommy Olson, is Tommy here? Okay, no Tommy, we'll skip over him. The next speaker is James Evans.
Good afternoon. We started this morning, but now we're at afternoon, and I'm going to make my speech as quickly as I can. I'm James Evans. I'm a candidate for vice chair. Some of you may recognize me, and I think probably more importantly, some of you are saying, what the heck are you doing? And I wanted to just address that quickly. Yes, I'm a former party chair, and I can tell you, people have asked not only why am I doing this, but we know that you're kind of diplomatic, James, so where did that come from? Well, try being a black Republican at an all-black college that's 99% Democrat. You learn diplomacy very quickly. And I've taken those skills into the military and into my life, and one thing I just enjoy and love is party politics. I've been an elected official, and people have asked, why don't you run for elected office again? No disrespect to elected officials, but I enjoy being honest. And, oh, I think I just lost some votes. But really, I just want to just hit on a couple key points. We know that there's a lot of friction within the party, but what we need to step back and look at is what's the cause of that. It's not any one person, it's not any one issue, but this is the first time in, I think, our state's history as a Republican Party that we've had an extraordinary pressure applied to the party for a specific issue. And because of that, fractures have broken out, people have been in on one side or another. But what's important to remember is that not one person can do everything. And I know that firsthand. I could tell you, I feel for the chair, I've been there, I know what he's going through, I know what our party officers are going through, I know what the SCC members are going through. But one key thing is this, is that I think we all care more about what's best for our party than any particular issue or division that we may have because of disagreements. And my commitment to you as a vice chair is, number one, to assist the chair and to be a resource to the SCC. That means that a lot of issues that come up day in and day out can be addressed before the meetings, and we can navigate to a point where when we get to meetings, we're ready to do business. And yes, the person that's standing at the microphone generally takes the blame. That's just how it is. Sorry, Rob, but that's how it is for chairs. But as an SCC, we know that we're much larger than any one issue, that we want to get our Republicans elected. And so I step forward as a former military guy in the Air Force, and there's been the overriding question that I've been asked, which is, how do you work with the current chair, being that you're a former chair? Well, in the military, you learn very quickly. You do the job that you need to do because your life will depend on it. And while in this case, our lives don't depend on it, but I think the well-being of our organization can certainly be in the balance. And so taking direction, playing your role, being a resource, being an asset to the party, I think many of you know me, and I just wanted to make sure you understand that that's my commitment. And the other question is, how would this look and feel? The great thing about vice chair is I don't have to be out front. I can just help solve problems, I can help work with everyone, and help move the process along so that we can continue to be successful as a party. And I'm one of the biggest cheerleaders of everyone in the party, of our elected officials, of our different auxiliaries, of all of the people that want to step forward and be involved in the party. So with that, I just want to say that I'm James Evans. I'm running for vice chair. Just to fill out this term, I have zero interest in doing anything beyond that, as in never again. So I just want to ask you for your support and for your vote. And with that, I wish you all a great day.
Good afternoon, SCC. My name is Carice Thompson, and I'm here before you to get your vote for vice chair. The reason why I stand before you today is many, but the main one is my love for this party. My love to make sure that this party stays in power, and my love to make sure that this party gets its message out to people who will eventually be coming to our state who may want to change the way of life of Utah. Years ago, when I first came to this state, I always knew that there was a conservative love inside of me, and I will be quite forward to tell you that being originally from California, they kill off conservatives' ideas every second that they can get. My passion is taking these ideals and sending them to people, because the reality is people daily agree with our ideals. They just don't know it. The caucus is one of those institutions for myself that gave me a chance to get, you can say, my feet wet in all of this. Without the caucus, I don't have a chance to stand before you today. And that is why today I tell you that the number one thing for me as a vice chair is making sure that the contract is fulfilled and that every avenue is pursued to make sure that the caucus is defended, regardless of people's feelings of SB 54, KMV, or CMV. Also, I would like to talk about the fact that within this lawsuit, it is defending one of the more quintessential things that we can all think about, which is association. Now, for me personally, I would like to say that I love this party and want to associate in many ways, and African Americans here in this state want to associate with this party. My job on many levels is to make sure that all people who are interested have a chance to hear us and know that our platform of the nuclear family especially is upheld, because the reality is, especially within my people, is that the nuclear family is one of those things that we just don't coalesce around to be able to build up our republic. And I think that that's quite important in building up our republic, is our family structures, our mothers, our fathers, our grandparents. Thank you. We are the parts, all of us, some of one body, and that body must be made one. How do we do so? There's been many things discussed, from diplomacy to conversation, but I think the one way we unify our body is to accept that not only do we have differences, but that we want to get Republicans elected, and then from there, let's give each other the respect of the liberty of our feelings and all this, and make sure that we never govern in personal interest. As your vice chair, I won't govern in personal interest. I will only govern in the interest of the greatness of the SCC, the Republican Party, and representing all people across the state. Fundraising is also another aspect of the party that needs to be addressed. Currently, in Davis County, I'm creating a model that I will be presenting to Davis County that revolves around service projects and fundraising. People have a hard time giving to the party because they feel like they don't know where their money is going. I would like to get to the grassroots. The college Republicans were just approved today. I would like to reach out to the youth, to the Weber states, have opportunities where we can bring people to games and fundraise through games, and have food available to be bought special to fund the party. I mean, there's ways that we can reach out to aspects that we aren't reaching out to right now. And I want to do that around service, because I think that if we do, it will advance us further than we've been advanced before. In closing, our leadership, Utah, we are the leaders, and we need to be more so the leaders on the national level too. The prayer caucus has a hole in it. Why are there not more LDS people being discussed as the head of the prayer caucus on the national level? I mean, there's a lot of questions that could be asked on the national level, and I think Utah can provide the answers. I think that going forward, that's what we also focus on, being such great leaders that when people look at our national politicians like a Mike Lee, like a Rob Bishop, they know Republicans are being represented and Utah is to be followed. If I gain your vote, I will make sure to uphold these things. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Roderick Threets, and I stand before you for your vote for vice chair for this great state party. I moved here in 2012 to Salt Lake County. Been here 6 years. I've been a Republican since I was a wee little one, 13, 14 years old, because in the South, where I'm from, you know, we value the nuclear family. You know, we are pro-life, and we are rule of law, you know, respect for others. As I go on, let it manifest in the mind that tragedy in life does not lie within not reaching your goals. The real tragedy is in no goals, but to reach for it is not a calamity to die with dreams unfulfilled. But the misfortune is having no dreams at all. Ladies and gentlemen, our American dream and our Constitution is under attack. It's under attack every single day when you wake up and walk outside that door. There's nothing you can say to one person or another person that doesn't either offend them or they report you to someone because of something you say or something you do. And that has to stop. We have to stop here. We have to stop these attacks on our Constitution, or we will not have rule of law anymore. We'll be in a socialist type government where, you know, the central state will own everything that you believe and see and convince you of such. Many of these forces, you know, want to subvert our Constitution and at every turn misinforming voters, and this is why we need to reach out to voters. You know, we're doing our job here to maintain the party, but the bottom line is we need to talk to the voters down below, right? In my research since I've been here, I have found over 300,000 unaffiliated voters that could be on our side. I have personally talked to a lot of them between here, Salt Lake County, Weber County, and Utah County, and a lot of them are on the fence about which way to go. And these are the people we need to draw into the party to strengthen our party and also reinforce, you know, their beliefs in our platform. So in order for me, you, and the folks you influence to be more effective with this, there's a couple things we need to do. One, continue to stay informed, because we have a lot of uneducated people leading other people, you know, the blind leading the blind, and you're walking people right off the cliff and don't know where they're going. We got to pay attention to these dark forces because they don't have any tactics, no objectives. Their objective mainly is to destroy the country. Their goal is to make America mediocre. But we know here, as a state party, as a Republican Party, we're not mediocre. We're the best country in the world, period. But we have these people, you know, that want us that way, but we have them on notice. America and Utah will continue to be great regardless. You know, we have this, Trump notarized the slogan, "Make America Great Again." America was already great. We're just pushing to make it a lot better than what it was, right? But there is still a little bit more work to do. As you're sitting here right now, I'm not even going to address the elephant in the room. I won't do that. You know, SB 54, that we know that's an issue. We have to work through that issue. If I am elected as your vice chair, I will be your advocate. I will be the people's advocate all the way down and make sure our candidates get elected appropriately and with force. With that, I appreciate your vote for vice chair this afternoon, and you folks have a great day.
Good afternoon, Central Committee members. It's an honor to be here. It's been an honor to talk to so many of you over the last few weeks and to visit with some of you at our Executive Committee meeting and to admire and be inspired by your dedication and your service. I am so impressed, and I applaud and commend you for the time that you spend to travel here, to be here, to support the important work of our party. Again, my name is Ben Stanley. My patriotic values were instilled at a young age. I was born into a United States Air Force family where my father took our family traveling the world, and I saw a lot of different areas and grew passionate about the limited and proper role of government, our United States Constitution, and studied and got very involved. As a young man, I spent a couple of years doing volunteer service in Philadelphia, where I got to see some key places all around Philadelphia, like Valley Forge, but also Independence Hall and the Liberty Bell. And I'd like to share a few thoughts about the Liberty Bell as we talk today, this afternoon. You know, it was defective when it came from the Whitechapel Foundry in England, had that crack that we often talk about. It's inscribed, though, with the words, we call it the Liberty Bell because it's inscribed with a passage from the book of Leviticus that says, "Proclaim liberty to all the land and to all the inhabitants thereof." And that's become something of a personal motto and a personal goal for me, a mission, to proclaim liberty across all the land and to all the inhabitants. And the Liberty Bell, in its damage, as a kid I always thought the damage was that half-inch slot you can see carved into it that was cut into the side of the bell because that fastened with the two rivets on the ends. That's actually not the damage. The damage is almost imperceptible to the eye. It's a hairline fracture in the crown and shoulder of the bell that caused the real damage, that caused the bell to vibrate when it was rung. And so what we actually see in that slot is an effort to repair it and to control those vibrations. Because though the damage was internal to the bell and almost imperceptible, it could be heard, and it made a vibration so it didn't ring pure and pleasing when it was rung. And of course, the legends talk about whether it was damaged in the transit across the Atlantic or whether it was damaged when it was reforged by Pass and Stowe, or whether it got its damage when it was over-enthusiastically played at some celebration or another. But the reality is there was damage. And I want in our Republican Party for when our bell of liberty rings, it rings loud and clear, and that we can hear it and that we can feel it resonate, not only with every Republican, but across all of our constituents across the entire state of Utah and around the world and across the globe. My background, many have talked a little bit about, I'm an attorney by profession, an intellectual property attorney. I graduated from the J. Reuben Clark Law School at BYU. Loved my time there, loved the service that I have done in the law. Many appreciate the fact that there's a backbone there and an ability to stand for proper procedure, due process, fairness, make sure we stand up for what is right every time. I've served as an elected official in beautiful Pleasant Grove, the Strawberry City, and I know what it's like to be involved in politics. I know what challenges our candidates face. I want to see our candidates in the Republican Party be successful. My role as vice chair, should I win your vote, then I ask for your vote. My role will be to see that every Republican is successful. And we are successful when we do things the right way, when we stand for correct processes, for correct procedures, when we follow the law, when we do things the right way. And I will be an advocate for that at every turn. I will not back down from the important principles that matter in our platform and that we stand for as Republicans. I'm also the president of the Utah County Rotary Club. I know all about the importance of civility. I've been impressed and surprised by the number of State Central Committee members who are Rotarians. Good work. That's awesome of you. And I promised one that I would mention the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do, that we always make sure that whatever we do is the truth, that it is fair to all concerned, that it builds goodwill and better friendships, and that it is beneficial to all concerned. That is the kind of civility and approach to unity that will help our party succeed and help our Liberty Bell ring loud and clear. I ask for your vote again. I've got interested in politics as 10 years ago I worked for a former governor of the state of Massachusetts during his first bid for the White House and did election law compliance research for that effort. I have been involved in supporting Republicans of all stripes and serving across the party many, many terms as a state and county delegate. I have been involved because I care about the principles of freedom and the principles of liberty that make our party so great, that have made our state so successful, and that are so fundamental to our nation. Ben Stanley, thank you for your vote and support and time.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I had a prepared speech, but I've thrown it out since Drew this morning said we should speak our heart in the opening prayer. So as the major underdog, I've got nothing to lose by speaking my heart. it's not a popularity contest. This race for vice chairman, sorry. I'm never going to tell you what you guys want to hear, okay? But I will always tell you the truth. And the truth is, there's a private, corporate world government that has co-opted most of the Western nations and has been systematically deconstructing national sovereignty, national borders, economic securities, and individual liberties, including here in the United States. This is a problem. Our president, President Trump, he's an anti-globalist. He's basically the only one at the national level. I'm an anti-globalist. The founders of this country were anti-globalists. Trump is basically fighting the entire federal government. All 2 million civilian employees are mostly loyal to the globalist system. And what does that have to do with the vice chair election is what you guys are all asking. Well, it has everything to do with it. Because the antidote to a private corporate world government is strong nationalism, strong republicanism, strong conservatism. Okay, and we're not seeing that from the National Republican Party. So those of us that are real Republicans, real conservatives, we need to coalesce together somewhere, sometime. It has to start, the resistance, the rebellion to this has to start somewhere, and I say it starts here in Utah. It's either here with our GOP or in Texas with their GOP. That's why I'm running for this spot. We need to strengthen the Utah GOP. And if any of you saw my videos on the easydebate.com, I mentioned something similar to what Sherilyn Eager said today, and that is we need to strengthen this division. We need to end the division between the party here, strengthen the party. We need to replicate it and export it to the other states, because it's the only way we're going to strengthen the national GOP is if we strengthen our own state GOP. It's important. Now, since everybody was talking about war stories, military stories, I was at the National Security Agency, and I was working in the Central Command Theater, which is where the war's at, and I was working in the command center. I had a little red phone, and battlefield commanders would call in real time. Now, I worked third shift, so it was daytime in Afghanistan. That's when all the action was happening. They would call me and say, hey, we need to drone strike somebody. You need to get on the phone and make sure it's him, right? And so that was a very important responsibility, and I took it very seriously. And there was a lot of rules, a lot of regulations that go into that, and it's a very serious job. Now, back up before that, when I was in Monterey learning how to speak Persian Farsi at the Defense Language Institute, my wife and I and our brand new baby, infant son, we were given some base housing that had black mold. My family got sick immediately, and I had to go to the chain of command and fight with them. Right? It was the 800-pound gorilla in the room. Everybody knew that base housing was bad, but nobody wanted to do anything about it. So I had all the Army regulations behind me. I had all the Department of Defense directives, federal law, and I fought the chain of command. Company commander, battalion commander, eventually the post commander, right? So I fought the good fight, much to the detriment of my own personal rank and personal career. But I did it because it was the right thing to do for my family, for my troops, and I had the law behind my side. That was the important thing. And eventually, we had to just sue the private contractors that had the housing. But the point is, all of the chain of command grew to respect me for fighting for my principles, fighting for what was right, and not backing down regardless of what might happen. So as vice chairman, we have, if this were a military unit, right, Rob Anderson would be what we call the commanding officer. I would be the executive officer. It's my job to back him up, to help him run the unit, but also be my job to carry out his will, his orders when he's not around. But also when the commanding officer is wrong, it's the executive officer's job to step in and resist that and stand up for whatever it might be that's right, whether it's international law, the rule of law of war. And I would let all of you know that I will, as a vice chairman, be equally as strong in the position. Rob Anderson's a very strong chairman, that's good, and I posit to you that the vice chairman should be equally as strong. And that's why you all should vote for me today. And I'm very confident that Rob and I can forge a relationship where we can work to strengthen the party, raise the money we need, recruit the candidates we need to export republicanism and nationalism, not only across Utah but across the country, and strengthen our republic. Thank you.
Central Committee members, I commend you for your service. It's a pleasure to be with you today. I first think I need to clarify something. Some of you are probably disappointed to see me here. I am not the Spencer Hall who does the podcast with Spencer Cox. And I see Greg Hughes here. I also want to clarify that I am not the Spencer Hall who leaked the story that Governor Herbert thinks that he can beat Greg Hughes in a boxing match. That's not me. Well, who am I? I am the Spencer Hall who can work with Rob, with you, with Lisa, in accomplishing the missions of the party. I come as a newcomer. I have no animosity toward anyone. I believe that I can work with everyone and accomplish great things with your support. Nobody has a claim on me for any favors. I'm here because I believe that I can help solve some of the party's problems. There are some changes that I would like to see in the party, and I'd be remiss if I did not mention this first. I think the bar is too low for people to run for office, both here in party offices, but also in elected offices. I would love to see a rule that a potential candidate has to receive at least a modicum of support from the electors in order to run as a candidate. For example, if there were a rule that to run as a United States Senate candidate that I had to have at least 10 delegates support me, that would eliminate, based on the votes in the convention, about half of the field. Along those lines, if such a rule were in place today for this vice chair position, it's a possibility that you wouldn't have to sit here and endure this very speech from me. Another change I'd like to see is a more efficient nominating convention. There is surely a better way. I have dreams of attending a convention where the rules are already settled, the speeches are already delivered, and I just show up, vote, and go home. I believe truly that this can be done. Another change that I would like to see is more civility, a focus on civility. I've witnessed multiple Facebook friends who have made simple comments on political issues and then just been totally excoriated and mocked for making a comment on a political issue. If society is going to improve, the improvement needs to start here with both our party leaders and our elected officials. I was impressed by something I read in the introduction of Robert's Rules of Order, which stated that in the year 1604, a principle of parliamentary procedure was published regarding decorum and the avoidance of personalities in debate. It said, quote, "He that digresseth from the matter to fall upon the person ought to be suppressed by the speaker. No reviling or nipping words must be used." How refreshing would that be? In my introduction video, I spoke of how in law school I qualified for the Utah Court's mediator roster and did divorce mediation. If the parties in a divorce can come together and communicate with civility, certainly we, as members of the Republican Party, can also do such. Some principles are more important than others. Liberty is more important than unity. In regard to political questions, civility must trump unity because unity on every political question is simply out of the question. I would love to see a culture within the Republican Party where we can hold spirited debate, yet keep it civil. Even though there are deep divisions among us, they need not divide us. I'd also like to see a renewed focus on the foundational principles that really constitute the core of the Republican Party. All of the recent media stories have been focused on the division, on the fighting, but we have things that we ought to be proud of. The foundational principles are the things that will bring people to the party. If Utah's population is really going to double within the next few decades, as we hear in the news, the party must likewise grow exponentially. And in order to achieve that growth, I believe that we need to put our principles first, to educate others on why the Republican principles are superior to any alternatives and move forward. My name is Spencer Hall. I look forward to working with you, and I appreciate your vote.
This concludes the first round of speeches. I'd like to, if you please join me in a round of applause for all the candidates. Registration closed during the last candidate speech for the duration of the balloting period. Registration will reopen after the polls are closed. The final credential number is 124. We will now proceed to balloting. Okay.
On this list, I see Carolina Heron is here, and there's Chris Herod is here, and you're on Betty. Thank you. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Mr.
Okay,
Chairman.
thank you. Go
Mr.
ahead.
Chairman, I just wanted to make sure. I noticed BJ had a credential on. Is he credential?
It is not a credential. It says executive director.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Staff, he does not have a clicker in his position. His hands are clean. Okay, we'll proceed to balloting. Could you please throw up the candidates on the screen? We need both groups A and B and all the candidates. Great, thank you. You've done that correctly. At this time, the chair, I'm going to look back to Brad and make sure the polls are ready and open. Brad? Okay, the polls, before I say this, Group A voting will be first. So if you are selecting a candidate 1 through 7 in Group A on the screen, you will vote now. Okay, the polls are now open. Please press your clicker if you elect to vote in Group A. And just so there's no bias, could we go back to the previous screen? It shows Group A. Okay, Group A only, 1 through 7. If you wish to vote for any of these candidates, please press the appropriate number. Can everybody see the screen? Has everyone had an opportunity to vote in Group A? If you have not and you wish to vote in Group A, could you please shout out and make yourself identified? Okay. Brad, have the votes decreased? The votes have decreased? You don't see any votes coming in? Okay. We'll keep it open for another few seconds. Let's go 30 seconds. This is Group A voting only. Keypad 1 through 7. 10 seconds. Last chance to vote. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Polls for Group A are now closed. Okay, Brad, bring down the system and reset for Group B. There'll be a pause for approximately 5 minutes, so if you need to go visit the little boy or girl's room, please do so at this time. Grab some food and relax for just a few minutes. What's up?
Dave Bateman really likes your firefighter complex.
Did you say that?
Said so on Facebook.
Did you see it?
Said they were
Microphone, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the seatbelt sign is turned on. Please return to your seats for the second round of voting. Okay, the polls are open for the second round, Group B. First round, second group. First round of voting, second group, Group B. If you like to vote for a candidate in Group B, are you ready, Brad? Okay, the chair declares Group B polls are now open. Please select from 1 through 6 for Group B voting round 1. Okay, Group B voting is still open. Select 1 through 6. Has everyone had a chance to vote? Group B. 30 seconds and the poll will close for Group B. I don't see anybody looking at their clicker, so Group B closing. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Polls are now closed. The polls are closed. Brad, could you tabulate the results? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the first round results are in. First round results are in. The number of ballots cast were 117. 59 votes were needed to elect a vice chair. There was no clear election. Wade Marshall Miller received 0 votes for 0%. Jeff Allen, 0 votes for 0%. Cody Adams, 7 votes for 5.98%. Kira Birkeland, 48 votes for 41.03%. Tony Graff, 3 votes for 2.56%. Michael Isom, 8 votes for 6.84%. Tommy Olson, 0 votes for 0%. James Evans, 21 votes for 17.95%. Carice Thompson, 10 votes for 8.55%. Roderick Threets, 0 votes for 0%. Ben Stanley, 8 votes for 6.84%. Chadwick Fairbanks, 11 votes for 9.4%. And Spencer Hall, 1 vote for 0.85%. Okay. With the elimination method, we've concluded that there will be 7 candidates moving forward. Those candidates and their speaking order is as follows: Cody Adams, Kira Birkeland, Michael Isom, James Evans, Carice Thompson, Ben Stanley, and Chadwick Fairbanks. Okay, can we put their names on the board? Oh, you've got it up there already. Thank you. Okay. Second round speeches is 1 minute. Second round speeches will be given now. The second round speeches will be 1 minute each, beginning with Cody Adams.
Well, take a note. Don't eat the vinegar-laced cabbage if you're in the middle of a speaking event. Are there any educators here? I was just kind of curious. Teachers, anybody? I'm going to leave this with you. Two notes. Chairman, you said 1 minute, right? So, all right. Okay. I have a quote that I have on a website that I want to attribute to teachers. The greatness I have received in my life must be attributed in part to these devoted individuals who've inspired me to look beyond and realize my potential. We have a lot of potential here today, and I'm grateful that I'm in the second round. I want to be the vice chair. A little note, I support the caucus. I bleed red. And is my time up? 8 seconds, 7? And I appreciate another vote in your support. Thank you.
I greatly appreciate your votes thus far. I have enjoyed getting to work with all of you for the last 5 years, and for those who are newer to the SCC, I hope I can continue to get to know you. Whether I am the vice chair or not, I want to help build our party. I'm dedicated to building a strong Republican Party of Utah. And a shout out to my friend David and Marcus. I would like to say I believe we need shorter meetings. Thank you.
Michael Isom. Mike.
I had to let the food through. It's more important than I am. So, George Bernard Shaw once said, "Some people see things as they are and say why. I see things that never were and say why not." Over the past 5 years, I've had the chance to serve a year in Afghanistan, directing $40 billion of U.S. and coalition funds to make sure they didn't go to bad actors. And then the past 2 years, my family and I were in Saudi Arabia to make sure that we were able to train, at Saudi's expense, by the way, what are the best practice for public security and critical infrastructure. And so the military has been part of our culture and part of our family, but so has the Republican Party. And so when coming back to Utah, there's a vision of what we can do as Republicans. When we unite around a message, when we have substantive, foundational conversations one with another, that's when we grow strong. And whether it's myself or any other candidate, the candidate that can bring the party together, the party that can energize not only what the caucus convention committee stands for, but also to make sure the rest of the Republicans in the state know that so we can bring value back to the Republican Party. Thank you very much.
I'm James Evans. I truly appreciate those that have voted for me. I know being the former chair, there comes a lot of history, and I'm just going to speak from the heart just for a moment. We currently are at a point, a juncture in our party where I felt within my heart that it was the right thing to do to step forward to try to just help assist the chair, the SCC members as we move forward. Just today, I was able to convince the Speaker of the House to commit $10,000 and also Thomas Wright to commit to bring in another $10,000 just to help the party move forward. I have no desires beyond just working behind the scenes to help our party continue to be great and to be a facilitator amongst the different issues and make sure that we can continue to elect great Republicans and move forward as a great state. Thank you, and I ask for your vote.
First of all, I just want to begin and thank all of you guys for the opportunity. I'm glad to make it to the second round. I do want to be your vice chair. The reality is quite clear. We can look at where our party is going to go, but we have to also look at safeguarding our party. The reality is I'm prepared for that task. And I'm prepared to do that task through what matters most, the grassroots. I don't have the ability to speak to the biggest, highest people to get you donations, but I do have the ability to talk to the regular person and say, we love you, we care about you, we want you to be a part of our values and contribute to our values. Continuing membership can be one of those answers to funding our party, and those are one of the things we have to attack. As your vice chair, I'm hoping to help unify and to help get to these goals and measures. Thank you for your time.
Again, Ben Stanley, grateful for the tremendous support, grateful for the good people that are here in the room. My background, again, is in the law. The value proposition I offer is that you have an opportunity to elect someone that has been involved in public service, that has been involved in service clubs, has raised tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars for worthy causes, and that's an important need that our party has now, and that is truly committed to appreciating and respecting all Republicans. I will serve the delegates, I will serve the State Central Committee, I will serve the party leadership to help us make every Republican be as successful as possible. That is my goal, is to see great successes for good people so that we can continue to be the dominant party within the state and continue to elect great people that will continue to help us have the strengths that we need as a Republican Party. Thanks for the support. I ask for your vote again. Please help us to move the party in the right direction, in a direction that respects law and process and does it in a way that brings people together on the right side of the issues. Ben Stanley, thank you for being here today.
A Zen master has a student in front of him. The Zen master's holding a stick. He tells the student, if you say this stick exists, I'll beat you with it. If you say this stick doesn't exist, I'll beat you with it. If you say nothing at all, I'll beat you with it. So the student ponders that for a moment or two, walks up to the Zen master, breaks the stick. The Utah Republican Party needs to break the stick over this KMV-CMV fight. I'm 100% KMV, I'm 100% pro-caucus. If you're not a nationalist, if you're not a conservative, if you're not anti-globalist, this is not the party for you. Thank you.
Thank you to our second round candidates. This concludes the second round speeches for vice chair. The credential number is now 125. We will now proceed to balloting. The registration desk will now be closed. The candidates will be listed on the screen 1 through 7. This will be one round only, so don't hold your vote. Vote early and vote often. Brad, are you ready? Okay, the polls, the chair declares the polls now open. Please select your candidate from the screen. Thank you. They're falling asleep back there. Their head hit the keyboard. Okay, launch your final vote. 15 seconds. We'll close the polls. Has everyone had a chance? Green light and against your selection. Okay, 10 seconds. Last chance, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The chair declares the polls closed. Brad, begin tabulating. Registration can reopen at this time.
Right now, rather than sitting here, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, second results are now in. 112 ballots were cast. 57 votes would be needed to elect. There was no winner. We will go on to round 3. Cody Adams received 2 votes for 1.79%. Kira Birkeland, 43 votes for 38.39%. Michael Isom, 7 votes for 6.25%. James Evans, 34 votes for 30.36%. Carice Thompson, 5 votes for 4.46%. Ben Stanley, 8 votes for 7.14%. Chadwick Fairbanks, 13 votes for 11.69%. 0.61%. The individuals moving on to the next round will be Kira Birkland, Michael Isom, James Evans, Carice Thompson, Ben Stanley, and Chadwick Fairbanks. Hang on a second. Hang on. Okay. Yeah, that's correct. We dropped Cody, and we have six candidates for the next election. This is using the method that we count up from the bottom. Who? 2. Two and 7 exceed, or 9, which exceeds 8. So Cody is the only one dropped. Okay. The third. Sorry, I skipped 5. 2 plus 5 equals 7. So only Cody is dropped. Third round speeches are again 1 minute. The speaking order is as previously discussed. One minute, Kira Birkland, Michael Isom, James Evans, Carice Thompson, Ben Stanley, and Chadwick Fairbanks. Will be given 1 minute each. Kira.
I love the Republican Party. I am quite competitive by nature. And so after this last round of speeches, I made some calls, and I'm competing with my dear friend James Evans. And I have secured $20,000 for the Utah Republican Party. Win or lose this election, I want you to know I'm committed to doing my part and doing the best job I can, and that we can, the kind of job we need to win these elections come November. Thank you.
So it's a solemn responsibility. I'm grateful for the 8 and then 7. So I guess I need to talk to one of you. But at this point, I want to take for those of the 7 that voted for me, I truly am humbled by your confidence and your support. I truly believe that there are still many voices that are in this round of voting. But Ben Stanley and I, we served together back in Pleasant Grove, and I feel strongly that his voice and moderation isn't the right word, but his experience is something that the party can greatly benefit from. And so if you were one of the 7 that voted for me, I think those votes could be just as well tallied against Ben Stanley. The perspective that the law, and I think there are several attorneys, but the perspective that the law, whatever your personal feelings might be, you have to realize what your foundational principles are. Is it the Constitution, our bylaws, our platform? And if they're not, then I think that's one of the fundamental questions we need to address. And I know that that's how Ben has always operated, and I don't know if I'm allowed to, but that would be my support. So thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Kira. Now I can raise you 10,000 more. So now I'm at 30,000. And let's make sure we understand what this is about. This is an unexpired term to serve for 1 year. That's why I stepped in. We have some tough elections coming up. Mia Love is on the ballot. She has probably her most significant opponent. I'm ready to go after him, just like we defeated her prior opponents. And more importantly, equally important are our House races. And I have a history of winning elections and assisting the party, assisting the SCC members, making sure we can continue to raise money, making sure that we're successful this election cycle. is my commitment to you just for this 1 year, and then I can go do something else. But more importantly, I just love what we do here as a party, and I just want to just give it one more shot. Thanks.
I'm an old football player by nature, so I believe in playing till the whistle blows. So, within regards to that, I thank you 5 voters for voting for me. Regardless of what happens here today, I want to express something very clearly. This party is going in a positive direction, and it's going to go in that positive direction, honestly, from the way and where we have developed here today as a body within the SCC and people who are outside who are watching the SCC maybe for the first time. I'm encouraged by our direction, and even more so, I'm encouraged by the fact that money now is being raised to help our direction. No matter what happens, just know that I believe in all of us, and even more so, I'm happy to stand here before you. Thank you.
Ben Stanley, I'm honored for the votes. I'm honored for the kind words of a friend from Utah County. I have the background to bring some value. I have a great respect for every one of the candidates that's running right now, but I've heard, as I've talked with so many of the members of the State Central Committee, that there are concerns that they would like to see some fresh perspective in our party and add to those voices and strengthen those voices. And that's the offer that I humbly submit to you. Please let me be your servant, your advocate, a champion for the caucus convention system, for our nominating process. Let me help you do what you want to see done in our Republican Party. Please share your votes with me. I would love to have the support. I think there's a lot of great things that we can do together as a party. There are amazing candidates that we can support and that we can help be successful as we work together. And as you consolidate your votes, if I'm the one that you choose to champion, I would welcome that. I think there's a great need for that third voice, that voice that will be fresh perspective that can make a difference. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, James and Kira, for raising that money. There's no doubt Rob and I will have a lot of fun spending it. So it's going to be a good time. Right, Rob? All right. Frugal Dougal, plug your ears. James brought up Mia Love. I want to say something. She almost lost her last election in 2016, right? If the race, a few analysts said if the race had gone another week, she probably would have lost. Look, our candidates, the incumbents, they borrow the R from us. We're the Republican Party. We're the people, right? The governor is beholden to us, okay? The U.S. senators are beholden to us. That's our R that we loan to them to carry out our platform. And when they're not doing that, or when they're jeopardizing the platform, they're jeopardizing losing their offices, that's a problem. And we as a party need to get our act together and raise money and get good candidates. Seriously, guys. That's it. Thank you.
This is like manna from heaven. This concludes the third round of speeches for Vice Chair. The final credential number is still 125. We'll now proceed to balloting. Please bring up the 6 names on the screen that will be voted for in the third round. Elections Corner. Brad, are you ready? I have a thumbs up. The polls are now open. Candidates, please select the candidate on the screen of your choice, 1 through 6. Are you glad we're not doing paper balloting? Has everyone had the opportunity to vote that wishes to do so? Okay, the polls will close in 15 seconds. 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The polls are now closed. Could Brad, you please tabulate the results? Okay, the results are now in for the third round. 116 ballots were cast, 59 votes were required for a majority winner. We are still not done, but we're very close. It's down to 2 candidates. Kara Birkeland received 50 votes for 43.1%. Michael Isom, 1 vote for 0.86%. James Evans, 39 votes, 33.62%. Carice Thompson, 2 votes for 1.72%. Ben Stanley, 9 votes for 7.76%. Chadwick Fairbanks, 15 votes for 12.93%. All the candidates will be dropped with the exceptions of Kara Birkeland and James Evans, who will go forward to the 4th round. Candidates, please prepare your 4th round speeches of 1 minute. Okay, the chair declares the registration will be closed. This is the 4th round speeches. Kira and then James. 1 minute each. Kira.
Friends of the SCC, I am grateful for your vote and the continued support to get to this round. I want you to know that this Republican Party means a lot to me. It means a lot to me to have friends all across the board here in this room with different ideology, with different backgrounds, who want to support the party, who are back there trying to gather money so that we can continue this financial gathering contribution battle. And while it's a lot of fun, this is what I love. This is like my family to me. And I mean that with sincerity, and I will treat you all as though you are my family. I will work hard for you, I will fight for you, and I will be honest and truthful to you always. Thank you for your time.
Well, it's down to the final two, and I want to just commend Kara for a great race and all the candidates, and for you coming out and spending your time today and all of your dedication to the party. Most of you know me. You know my commitment to the party, and for me to commit one more year just to help make sure we're on the right track so that we can continue to do great things is why I stepped up. This is not about a long-term endeavor. I would look forward to the day next year at the convention when we have a slate of great candidates. We can move forward. We've turned the page, and we're doing great things. We can do that by coming together. That's my commitment to you, is to bring all of us together so that we can continue to do great things as a party. I can fundraise, as you know. You know I've been chair before, but in this role I get to do a lot of the work just in the background, just to assist you to be successful. I love doing that, I enjoy that, and I ask for your vote.
That's the conclusion of the fourth round of speeches for Vice Chair. The final credential number remains at 125. We will now proceed to balloting. On the screens, we'll list the two candidates remaining. Brad, are we ready? I see a thumbs up over there. At this time, the chair declares the polls are open. Please select the candidate of your choice.
Mr. Chairman, will this be the last round of balloting?
I will neither confirm nor deny that. Keep that in mind when you vote. The polls will close in 15 seconds. Five, four, three, two, one. The polls are now closed. Brad, please tabulate the results. Again, registration may reopen at this time. The results are now in. The moment we've been waiting for. We do have a winner. 114 ballots were cast, 58 votes were needed to elect. Kira Birkeland, 66 votes, 57.89%. James Evans, 48 votes, 42.11%. Kira received a majority of the votes and is our new vice chair. Congratulations.
Mr. Chairman.
At this point, we don't have a chair for her, but she can come up here and bring a chair with her and sit and join us at the front. All right, the chair recognizes Kirby Glad.
Thank you. Regarding the business we previously discussed, I move to list the secrecy on the outcome of 3 motions considered during the executive session of February 24th, 2018, namely the bylaw proposal, the motion directing the chair regarding communications to the Davis County chair, and the motion regarding the Facebook page.
Okay.
I'll
That's the
deliver this to
motion.
the
Can you
secretary.
hand that to me so I can read from it? The motion on the floor is, I can't read this, Kirby. Motion is to lift the secrecy on the outcome of the 3 motions considered during the executive session of February 24th, 18, namely a bylaw proposal, the motion for the chair regarding communications with the Davis County chair, and regarding the Facebook page. Would you like to speak for this motion, Kirby?
These are all items which, while we wanted to have the discussion in confidence, which we did, these are motions which the body acted upon, and the result of those motions need to be made a part of our public record.
Thank you. Is there anyone to speak against this? Okay, there's no motion against this, therefore there's no ensuing debate on that. Are you ready to vote? Okay. All in favor of this motion, Kirby Glad, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say no. That motion passes.
So, a question, point of order question. How does that happen?
It is reflected in the minutes outside of executive
It's just in the
session.
minutes?
Yes, it is. That was regards to the minutes, correct? The action items from the executive session that will be transcribed to the minutes.
Don't we say now what they were because they have now been lifted, so they are in the minutes?
Yes. Yes. Well, now that we've adopted it, we can now say what they were. Yeah.
Yes.
But I think the secretary will just publish that part of the minutes. I don't think we need to do anything else.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion.
Yes, go ahead.
So the time to end this meeting was listed as 3 p.m., and there's still a lot on the agenda. We didn't get to any of the resolutions or bylaws. I would like to motion that we have a meeting scheduled for June 30th, where we can continue with the existing agenda, adding to it the discussion and adoption of a budget. If there's a conflict, then we could have it the following Saturday after that.
What is today, 19th? Okay.
No, that'd be after. No, it's not.
I do think that it's important that we do address the items that we have on the agenda today, and we had a hard stop to our meeting, which is not typical for the SCC prior to last year. And I think that it's important that we take these up and not continue to put
I'm just doing
items
mental
off.
math here to make sure it's more than 30 days so we can properly notice all of the things that we're discussing.
June 30th, so today would be not June, so that's at least 30 days.
No, I realize that, but that's my only hesitation here. So the motion on the floor is to set a state central committee meeting for, was it June?
June 30th.
June 30th. We have a scheduled fundraising event at the zoo. Do we want to hold the state central committee meeting at the zoo? Admission is $10,000 each. Okay. I will just state that that is in a conflict with that, but the motion's on the floor. Would you like to speak for that motion?
Yeah, I think I basically have. These items are important, and I don't think it's appropriate for us to continue to kick the can down the road for the next meeting, and then the next meeting will get caught up in a 4-hour debate on the agenda, and then we still won't get to the item. So I think we should tape the agenda that we've got, add the budget to it, pick up where we left off at the next meeting, and take care of business.
Okay. Is there anyone to speak against that motion? Are you speaking against it?
I would like to make a motion to amend.
Okay.
That at that next meeting, we have consideration of the auxiliaries. We have an executive committee beforehand to consider the auxiliaries at the next at that
Yeah, I
meeting
planned
the
on
30th.
that in my mind, so yes, we'll consider that.
I would make a motion.
We have to have an EC meeting to approve the budget to be able to consider it at that meeting as well. So,
I would move to amend it to July 14th, so we miss the 4th of July week and the fundraiser.
okay, is that a friendly amendment or a? Okay, July 14th is a friendly amendment to that. Okay, we have a second for that. And would you like to speak to that friendly amendment?
No, I have a suggestion.
Okay, go ahead.
2 years ago, we said we would have, of our four meetings, we would have at least one of them outside the Wasatch Front. I would suggest we have it in St. George. In July.
Maybe more appropriate in December, but okay. The staff will entertain that. Okay, is there anyone to speak against that motion? Norm, this is not where to hold it, but the meeting on the 14th of July. Are you speaking against it? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Norm Thurston from Utah County. You know, we have a date, August 18th. We know about that. We've made arrangements to not be there. I am sure that there are a lot of people here who have plans in July, and they could move those around if they had to. But we're really talking about 30 days. And I look at that agenda, I look down the agenda, nothing changes anything for the party, whether we meet July 14th or August 18th. I would greatly prefer that we stick with, either we stick with the date we've got, which is August 18th, that'd be my first choice, or if we're going to do July 14th, if that's what the body does, then we would make sure that we not meet on August 18th. One or the other, not both. You can't expect too many people to take off 2 weekends in summer when their kids are out of school.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else to speak for that motion and against? Is there anyone else to speak against? Okay, the question's been called. That is a valid comment. The vote will be now 2/3 majority required to end debate. All in favor of ending debate on this motion, please stand and raise your credential. 2/3 required. This is only to end debate and put the vote before the body. Okay, please take your seats. Those who want to continue to debate this issue, please stand and raise your credential. Okay, that passes. The debate is over. The motion on the floor is to hold the next State Central Committee meeting on July 14th. Location to be determined.
To clarify the motion, there was no intent to remove any other meeting, so this would be in addition to.
Okay, in addition to the previously scheduled August 18th meeting. So all in favor of this meeting on July 14th, please stand and raise your credential. Thank you. Please take your seats. All opposed to this meeting, please stand and raise your credential. Okay, Chair determines this is too close to call. I would like a counted vote. So please, if you are in favor of this meeting on July 14th, in addition to the August 18th meeting, please stand and be counted. Abe, you've got this side. Oh, we can do the clickers too. Yeah, I got Brad back there with his thumbs up. Are you ready with this? Okay.
Mr. Chair, can I get a point of information real quick?
Yes, go ahead, Big Ben.
If we have the July 14th meeting and we get through all conducted business, is there a point at that meeting where we can
A motion
to
could be
cancel the August 18th meeting, that all business has been done for the second quarter, or whichever quarter we're in? So something
Well, that
to
motion
consider
can
when
always
we're
be made.
voting this, making this vote. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. As far as the electronic voting goes, all in favor of holding the July 14th meeting, please select 1 on your clicker. Those opposed to a July 14th meeting, please select 2 on your clicker. The polls are now open. Yes, Norm. Yeah, meeting is adjourned. Stand by. We'll wait for this important vote.
Nice try.
Has everyone had a chance to vote? Okay, the polls will now close in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. The polls are now closed. Brad, tabulate, please. The results are now in, and it's going to go to a coin. I'm just kidding. The votes in favor, there were 98 total votes, so people skipped out after the vice chair election. Total votes for having the July 14th meeting, 47 at 47.96%. No votes were 51 at 52.04%. So the regularly scheduled, so the regularly scheduled meeting on August 8th, there will be no July 14th meeting.
I have a motion,
Mr. Chairman.
a quick one, I hope, which is that since we're having the August meeting, that there not be a hard stop so we can get through our business at that meeting.
Okay, the motion on the floor is to not have a hard stop at the next meeting. So we'll have it scheduled for 2 days.
Maybe 3.
No food will be provided. This motion is debatable, and would you like anyone to speak? Would you like to speak for that?
We just never get through stuff. We have all these meetings that have a hard stop every time, which is not typical, and we want to get through the business and not keep kicking it and pushing it forward and forward.
Yeah, this is not the first hard. Other meetings have gone to the end.
I have a separate motion,
Right,
Mr.
this is
Chairman.
not the first one. That's what I said.
I have a separate motion, a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, privileged motion. All in favor?
Yeah, there's a motion.
If you vote to adjourn, it trumps a motion on the floor. So there's an unfinished business there. We look at the criteria here. It's unfinished as well. As far as the resolutions are concerned, before we vote on this motion to adjourn, the investigative committee, if Don Guyman would please contact me, the communication is lacking between the chair and certain individuals within the party. We can clarify some of these issues and do so outside of a meeting or a resolution requirement. Also, Joe Levi for the document control and resolution, if you'd please contact the staff, we can discuss these issues and maybe modify both of those resolutions and proposals. Now, the motion on the floor is to adjourn. I'm sorry, sir, you have to wait. You can speak afterward to me individually. All in favor of adjournment, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. No. Okay. We'll vote on the clickers. Brad, are you ready? No, it's a majority for adjournment. So the motion on the floor is to adjourn. Are you ready? Okay, select number 1 if you would like to adjourn. Select number 2. Okay, wait. Okay. Okay. All right, with a time-sensitive adjournment, the parliamentarian has just informed me that without a vote, we have adjourned this meeting. So thank you for your participation. Outside, there are some golf bays free of charge for... Yeah, so the bays will open at 4 o'clock. They start here and go all the way down to the end. The cost of those is paid for, but you'll have to provide for your own food and drinks as long as you want to stay, okay? So please feel free to stay and do that and participate there. Thank you for your attendance today. The meeting is adjourned. Please turn in your clickers. They will be charged $50 for each one if you do not return the clickers.